Hi, Jim. Picking up little Annie?
She's not so little anymore. How are you?
Well, Jenny told me you were thinking of placing Annie over at Nofsid next year.
Yes, I am.
What happened?
Well, you heard about the libraries.
Yes. I went to the meeting. I am afraid it wasn't much of a fight.
Well, Ginny and we were thinking, what is next? Is it just going to be all downhill from here? You know, I don't want to be the last rat on the ship. It just would not be fair to my kid.
It's really not as bad as you think, Jim.
Look, I was already almost at this point last year. Over it. Completely done with all of the fighting and drama about the override. The threat of the tent. But now, well, her teacher has been so great, and Annie loves it here, and she is obviously doing very well, even with 24 kids in her class. But the library. Really. It's like one more thing. And if I'm thinking this way, then, for sure, the next guy is thinking like this too. It just seems like, here, we don't have the support for our schools that other towns seem to have.
No, not true. We almost won that override vote last year. We were so close.
I hate to admit it, but I didn't vote last year.
Jim.
I know. But Ginny had to work late and...
Sure, Jim. You know, you're playing right into the hands of the people in this town, who think we'd all be better off without any schools whatsoever. It's so much cheaper to let the other towns educate our kids.
You're exaggerating.
Perhaps, just a little. But would you have moved to Yarmouth if you saw DY schools in a shambles?
Schools were definitely a major consideration for us. But, back then, everything we heard was positive. And up until now, it's been really great. Gregory is already looking at colleges. He will do really well. No complaints. But in the last few years with all the cuts, it just seems to point to one thing.
Yes, it does. It points to the need for an override that actually fulfills our basic obligations.
Let's not get crazy. That's just not going to happen in this town.
Not if people like you don't get off your keisters and get out to vote. When it counts. Get out to the school committee meetings to show support. Email the Board of Selectmen. That is what you owe your daughter.
I know.
Do you? Then why are you leaving? Look, what I know is that, like everywhere else, teachers and staff here are working very hard to make these bigger class sizes work, struggling with cuts in staff and supplies. Everything. And, now, the loss of some really important programs for the kids. If you choose to send your kid off to another school district, well, do you know how much we taxpayers would need to pay for Annie to go there?
We? Pay who?
You're kidding, right?
I guess I sorta knew.
Wow, Jim. That's really lame. Look, you had better start educating yourself. Part of our budget, your taxes, goes to paying other districts to educate our kids. And, the more we cut, the bigger that line item keeps growing. Think of it this way. With what we have to pay other districts and charter schools in tuition, that amount could keep these libraries open. If you take your kid out of DY, that will just do further damage to our schools. And, if you think about it, until you leave this town, you know, these are still your schools. Now, does that seem like a smart move to you?
Maybe not. Look. I know it's pretty bad all over. I have this friend who lives up in Hingham. He said that their class sizes are up to 24 or 25 kids in the elementary schools.
But, are they pulling their kids out of the schools?
Are you crazy? They are some of the best schools around. And they pay dearly for them.
So, why is it different here? Have you had good teachers for Gregory?
All the way along. No doubt.
Plenty of opportunities for activities and sports?
Sure.
And librarians?
Look, I did have a little bit of a reality check talking to my friend. A lot of the same problems up there. People in town who don't want their taxes going to pay for schools. But there, the parents are strong. Fighters. They are all about how great their schools are. No one is leaving. The schools are the reason most of them moved there in the first place.
Uh-huh.
What?
So, Jim, what will it take to keep you here?
Well, I guess if I thought that things were not just going to keep getting worse, that would help. I don't want to look foolish 5 years from now.
Look, unless parents like you get involved, we are just going to see, oh, so many rats like you. Sorry, you know what I mean. We will all look foolish. It is just going to be self-fulfilling. Look, you yourself said you are happy with the DY schools?
I am. Very.
Well, it is time for you to let everyone know that you are. You need to educate yourself on the budget process. That way, we can all fight together to keep our schools as good as they already are.
No. Even better.
That's the spirit, Jim. Never too late to get back on the ship. There are plenty of us out there in town who see the same danger that you see, and not just parents. None of us love the idea of higher taxes, but we see the need to pay our share to keep the DY schools competitive. Not just for the kids, but for the good of everyone in Yarmouth.
So, how can Ginny and I get involved? We don't have a lot of free time.
Please, tell me about it. But there is plenty to be done. We've got a Facebook page, DY Parents. Start there. You'll see, you are not alone.
Great. Thanks. I'll check it out. It would be pretty foolish to leave a ship that is still seaworthy, right?
Right, Jim. But let's drop that metaphor, okay?
Okay.
So, Jim?
Yeah.
Any chance you might want to run for the school committee?
Oh look. There's Annie now. Gotta go. Bye.